Big Footy Blues.
Big Footy Blues. Big Footy Blues.
Come on, the Big Footy Blues.
It's nice to be here again. This is episode 2 of the Big Footy Blues podcast for 2015. No fancy intros this week. The boys are back in town, so no mucking around. I'm ODN and welcome Shandog, Happy Dude and HBF. How are we,
G'day.
guys?
Hey. Good.
Evening, everybody.
It's an estrogen-free zone, and I think somebody better edit that out.
I don't think so.
No chance.
Hey, leave that in there.
That's not going anywhere.
A couple of weeks since our we last saw the Blue Boys in action, and we're playing again this weekend. But let's before we start talking about the footy, let's look at a little bit of Blues news.
Blues News.
So, last time we were on, I think the rumour had just broken, and some news had just broken about Shane Rogers quitting the club. We weren't really sure about the ins and outs and whether it was true or not. And indeed, he has quit the club. And the club says they're not in any hurry to replace him. So it seems that we're basically going to be heading towards the next draft without a head recruiter. A little bit odd, but obviously they're looking at Steve Silvani and rumours that we'll get somebody else in next year.
I like that description. It's a little bit odd. It'd be quite strange to go to a draft without a recruiter.
Mm. Well, you know, we've got a couple under him, but and one of them particularly is rated pretty highly from what I hear. But Michael Jordan, what can't he do? But in rumours that we're also looking at another recruiter that used to work with Sauce at GWS.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, actually.
Mm.
Look, I think Sauce pretty much looked after GWS's recruiting whilst he was there, and Ivan saw him at under 18 championships last year. So I mean, the guy gets out and has a look. So if it means we go to the draft in November with Sauce reading out the names, then I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I'd actually rather, as if we are going to replace Shane Rogers, go out and actually find the best person available, not just replace him just for replacing him's sake, I suppose. So, yeah.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you, HBF. Take time to replace him if we're going to, find the right person for the job. We need to go through the right channels and really look for the best person available. If Sauce is getting out there and having a look, it's better than just going in blind and just scrambling to try and find someone. But I was starting to enjoy Rogers in his role, and I'm a bit sad to see him go, to be honest. From the outside looking in, as ODN said, it's a bit odd. I can't make sense of it yet, but I guess we'll see how it goes from here.
Is it purely just a matter of him not liking the new reporting structure, or do we think that's we know that our Presidente is a good friend of Sauce. Do we think that might have been the grand plan all along?
It's hard to know. I mean, there was talk last year when we were trying to poach Graham Wright that Shane Rogers wasn't happy. So I'm just wondering if it's that, and then him having to report to Silvani has sort of been the straw that broke the camel's back. So look, it really could have just been a few things that just built up. Maybe he's been offered a role somewhere else that's a bit more appealing. He has more say. I don't know. From my opinion, I think just from the outside looking in, I think it's just been a few things that have built up, and he's decided to pull the pin before the season starts.
In other news, Carlton have gone to the AFL to ask for an advance on their pocket money for this year. Seems, as is usually the case, our membership is running a little bit slow and way behind where we'd expect it to be. And as a result, our cash flow isn't looking so hot.
Yeah, I heard we promised to do the dishes for a week to get the extra money. Yeah, I'd like to know what actually happens with that money, or what that's going to achieve, because I don't remember reading too much about details. Does anyone have any idea of what that actually means, to get the extra cash and try and sell more memberships with it or something? Or
I don't know whether it's to boost our membership department or just for day-to-day running, because our cash flow is down until we because we haven't got that early season revenue we'd expect, which is a real concern. But Stephen Tregg's been pretty upfront and honest about it. He said the last month or two of last year we were understaffed in our membership department and calls were going in unanswered. It's nothing that fans around the Big Footy Board don't already know about. There've been complaints about that for a while, but I don't know whether Trigg, when he came on in August, should have sort of realised whether the staffing was adequate or not. He's only fresh. You can't really blame him, but maybe it's something that they should have picked up a little bit earlier, because it's been a bit of a schmozzle. And you were just talking about doing the dishes for extra cash. I'm thinking that we might have to take out the trash for that extra cash.
I think what's been good is that following the membership thread on our board, that the numbers do seem like they're starting to pick up a bit. I'm not sure if we're ahead of last year or not, but I think every time I seem to take some notice of it, we're making some ground and closing in on 40,000 members. So hopefully that revenue will start to increase. And I think I've already posted, we've got 3 pretty big games in the first 5 weeks of the season. So if we can get some big attendances there, I'm just hoping that we can get that revenue in and we don't have to go cap in hand to the AFL next year. It's a little embarrassing that we're one of the biggest clubs in town and we're walking around with our hands out. So
our membership revenue is still pretty good, though, isn't it? Usually,
it is.
I mean, it's usually a dollar figure, so I'm not sure why we're short, because our revenue, we basically charge more for our memberships than a lot of other clubs do. Now, whether we should be lowering the price and hope to get more members in and connect with more grassroots supporters, that's another issue. But that's the way I think we should probably go. Make it more affordable, and hope we get more fans in through the door.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Shan Dog would probably be better placed to answer this than me, but I think like interstate members as well, and yourself, ADN, you guys don't get a lot of value for money either. So I'm just wondering if if the interstate memberships have fallen off the pace as well, particularly that there's no games in Adelaide this year.
Well, that makes it hard. Yeah, it makes it hard to justify the cash for people from Adelaide. And talking with the Wookiee as well, he's saying how he knows people who didn't want to or have decided not to renew. I think the interstate membership, because it was kind of they felt like they were being snubbed, I guess, and didn't want to pony up the cash. I think compared to last year, and this is just going off the top of my head, that the interstate membership is a little bit cheaper than it was. It's a little bit cheaper this year than it was last year. So I didn't really have a problem going for it. I really just spent $80 or $90 on a lanyard, I guess. But
Jeez,
it's very pretty.
It's good.
It's quite useful for me at work. But I can understand people who, especially from Adelaide, who don't get to see a game unless we travel over to Melbourne or something, not wanting to pay extra.
Just as a thought off the top of my head, say we use this year as an example. We've got no games in Adelaide, but we've got 2 games in Perth. I'm just wondering if the club could maybe, charge the Perth or Western Australian members a little bit more, and then charge the South Australian members a little bit less, because clearly they've got no games to go to versus 2 games in Perth. So I'm just, throwing it out there, wondering if that would be something the club might consider, or what do you boys think?
Well, the away games aren't part of the memberships anymore. Anyway, you've got to pay again for the ticket. Anyway, so I'm not sure that would particularly work.
They don't really get an advantage by being a membership. They play in town these days.
They used to a couple of years ago. We used to get access to home or away games.
Yeah.
And now they're just home games. So, as far as I'm aware, as far as certainly up in Queensland here, where I'd have to pay for my tickets aside from my membership.
Yeah, they really got pushed aside, I feel, the interstaters.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. I think we might have missed an opportunity, and with a lack of forward thinking as far as international memberships. We've got three Irish boys on our side now. There's a fair bit of interest. They do get reported on over in the Irish news, and there are the occasional even posters coming on Big Footy from Ireland, sort of following their progress. It's something that they could have done a little bit of, I don't know, just sound it out. You wouldn't sell an awful lot, but they get a little bit tribal over there in those little hometowns of, sort of Gaelic football communities and stuff like that. I could imagine a couple of Carlton being a sort of a favourite AFL side for some of those Irish communities. It's just a little thinking outside the box.
Yeah, it's really interesting too. And I'm not sure whether it was an article from the AFL website, I think it's ringing a bell, that I read just recently that was talking about how, it might have been even Wikipedia, I was looking at something. There's actually more people who view AFL on at least a semi-regular basis in the USA than there is in Australia, just because of their sheer numbers. They have up to 10 million people who like to watch AFL. I can't remember hearing a single thing about membership that we might be doing overseas, and that's another sort of aspect of it that we could look at, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's a couple of Americans in the AFL at the moment, but none with us. So I think Hilda's got one, Jason Holmes, I think, and I think Collingwood might have one. So maybe we should recruit an American just to tap into that. Maybe we should recruit a Chinese guy.
Suddenly 300 million members.
with the international memberships, I'm not sure, because obviously I don't live overseas, what the AFL offers in range of coverage of games and stuff online, because being an international fan of the NFL, I know that I get to buy the Game Pass and watch all the games and all that, and if there was a membership package for me to follow the team that I like, I would sign up for that. So, I feel as an American that would be watching the AFL, we can offer that sort of package to them. We would get support, a decent amount of support from the Americans.
Yeah, it's a good idea, I think, to look at.
That is a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, because with the Game Pass that I buy, I can either pay a larger fee and get every game of the home and away season, or just a smaller fee and only watch my team's games and talk shows involving my team. If the AFL's doing something similar to that, and then Carlton could then offer some sort of membership package with a little bit of merchandise to go along with it, maybe even tie it in with, work out something with AFL, all teams could tie it in with your little Game Pass or whatever, and then, international membership could become a real thing for the AFL.
So if you're listening, Triggy, give us a call. We've got some good ideas.
They also, a recent article also brought up Trig sort of conceding there's a little bit of disconnect between the club and the fans. Do you guys see where the disconnect is, or are we all diehards anyway, so we support regardless of whether they're sort of, contacting us and wooing us, or do you know where the disconnect is?
I see there's a bit of a disconnect. I observe it between just basic things where you go out and you see a lot of other support for other clubs on people's cars and just sort of things like that, and everyone else seems to feel that more involved than what I see other Carlton supporters that aren't as diehard as what I am. And the club's not really doing anything to bring them in. That's where I feel there's a bit of the disconnect. Is we're happy to have non-members buy tickets to games.
I think where I see it is when we had the intra-club game a few weeks ago, and they held it at 4:00 on a Friday, which for probably about 95% of the population is very difficult to get there with work. I don't know why they couldn't have started it at 5:30. I mean, daylight saving, so clearly there's no issue with light. Started it at 5:30 I know I would have gone in straight after work. As it stood, I didn't get a chance to go in. And then the following morning when they had the skills clinic or something, they started it at something like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, whatever it was. And, most people again have got commitments with their family. I just see that as just the perfect example of how sort of removed the club are from the common fan. It just,
maybe we couldn't afford the overtime on Friday for the staff.
Is that different to the way other clubs were running their intra-club games? Well,
Mebby told me that because her best friend is an Essendon supporter, they went out a couple of years ago and they did. I think they had an intra-club at 6:30 or something like that on a Friday, so it was much easier for their supporters to get there. And apparently they made it like a big sort of carnival as well. So, whilst we all hate Essendon, even just that, Carlton had just been left behind with the way they engage their supporters. So, I just think they make it really hard for us to, love our club.
Is it true that Essendon had their intra-club a little bit later this year again too, but this time it was just so they can introduce themselves?
Yes, I think that's correct.
I think the club just needs to, when it comes to everything, intra-club stuff, functions or whatever, just approach every single thing with a mindset of, again, how can we best include the members in this? It'll probably fix things in the long term if they do that.
Is it purely a matter of getting rid of those that appear to be running the club from the sidelines so that people feel that we are the ones supporting the club and we're the ones that are valued because, without us, they would fold? Is the perception that if we've got power brokers, look, they're not, I'd say bankrolling, but they're not bankrolling us, they're drip feeding us. If the perception that they are there, they don't really need us, that seems to be coming through very strongly on the big footy boards.
Yeah, I reckon they've got a war to fight on two fronts really, and that's trying to win back the trust and faith of those die-hard members who do almost sign up religiously and care about the club as much as we all do, and then they've also got to try and draw in those sort of more fringe supporters, the people who have always been supporters, watch Carlton, like Carlton, but don't necessarily pony up with memberships and things like that.
Yeah. It's interesting because, there is a school of thought that we lost a whole generation of supporters back in 2002 when we received our penalties. Once we started three wooden spoons over those 5 seasons, you wouldn't have found a lot of kids taking up Carlton as a passion. So that's maybe starting to be borne out now as those kids from back then are old enough to start getting memberships and whatnot, and we might be missing, might have a sizable hole to fill from that time.
Premiership Cup might do that.
Indeed. Although it didn't work for North Melbourne.
I don't think anything will ever work for North Melbourne.
All right, let's have a look at the weekend wake.
This is the Weekend Wake.
So it wasn't last weekend. It was the weekend before. 2 Fridays ago, in Mandurah, Carlton went down to the West Coast Eagles by 31 points. West Coast 1 super goal, 9 goals, 15-78. Defeated Carlton 2 super goals, 4 goals, 5-47. Goals to West Coast: Kennedy 3, Lacroix 2, the rest who cares. Carlton, Bell, White, Armfield and Jones all hit the scoreboard, and the 2 super goals were Wood and Tui. So it was pretty scrappy. A couple of you guys didn't actually see that game, did you?
No.
No, I didn't.
I got to know Foxtel.
It wasn't pretty. It was a strong Fremantle doctor blowing, and our skills were appalling for the most part for probably 2.5 quarters, and we did well. I think we did well to actually only lose by 31 points, frankly. But West Coast were only missing Nat Newey, Selwood, and I think one other that I can think of, one of the defenders. But sorry,
Jack Darling didn't play either.
Yeah, so we were missing probably half of our best 22.
Well, we're including 7 of our best this week, aren't we? So that just speaks volumes, and that's not even everyone from our best 22 coming in.
Yeah, and we've copped a bit of a bashing around the football community, around the traps, around the main board of Big Footy, especially as that performance being reflective of where we're at, and it's pretty unfair.
Yeah,
and, I think it was it Cameron Mooney went to bat for us and said that was unfair to actually judge us based on that game. It's a pre-season game, lots of outs. It was just a bit of a hit out, really.
Yeah, it was West Coast's second decent hit out as well. I don't think they played in the Indigenous All Stars match as well. So.
Very true. Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything was stacked against us, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what they say, March Premiers, April Fools. So we're trying to avoid that.
Shandog, you watched the game. Who do you think did well for us?
Well, look, of the newer guys, the ones everyone were really looking out for, I think the standout was your boy Yarksh. He looked really solid down back, actually. Didn't really see him put a foot wrong. I'm not sure who he was playing on the whole match. To be honest, but he just looked,
all of them had him all covered.
He was just in the defensive 50 on his own, I think. But yeah, he was quite good. He looked composed, like he belonged out there. You know what I mean? So that's a tick straight up for him coming across for us. I mean, we knew he can play, but to get a good performance like that was great. First up,
he didn't make our best.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens. He did get a write-up, mentioned in the write-up, I think, as well, as he did okay or something like that. I mean, which is quite high praise, I guess, for us. I guess the other young guys, Tom Fields actually down back, he looked like he has a bit of something to offer, actually, and nice big left boot. He was kicking into the wind the first quarter. Everyone else was finding it hard to kick over a jam tin, and he was still getting quite a bit of distance on him, which was good. So the other ones that everyone's, I guess, really interested in, like Clem Smith and Blaine Bokhorst, both showed little signs of bits and pieces of why we recruited them. I think there was good hard tackling and pressure from Clem Smith, although he didn't really quite get into the game too much. And Bokhorst was definitely not afraid of the contest for a fairly slight sort of guy, and did do a nice little dash down the wing and was creative. So, yeah, really good signs from them. I was a little disappointed that DVR, Viojo Rainbow, he only came on, I think, in the second half as a sub and didn't really manage to get into the game at all. And, yeah, I guess Liam Jones, it's kind of a mixed bag from him. He attacked the ball pretty well as a forward, but none of our forwards got any sort of decent service at all. So he did compete well at ground level too, I'd say. I was fairly happy with that. So all in all, for a first hit out, some good signs. Some people that would have been nice if they had have put on a better show, but still it's the first NAB Challenge match, I guess.
Yeah. My question for you, obviously I didn't watch it, is regarding Jones. You said he hit the contest hard. Did he look like he struggled after it didn't work for him first up to go back in, or was he just constantly at it all day? Because after seeing him at VFL level, I've just got some concerns about his mental application. I'd really hope to see him get over it, and just hope it was a problem he had with the doggies.
Yeah, look, we didn't get the ball down forward too much, to be honest with you. We had very few inside 50s. And so I guess it was kind of hard to see, especially with the pathetic camera work that was happening in that game. It was horrible. I think people have already seen me complain about it on the boards. But, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not he was really working hard behind the scenes or anything. Yeah. But I definitely didn't notice that. So I guess that's a good thing, I suppose, unless I'm just completely oblivious.
No, that's fair enough. It would be hard to tell from a televised game, but I just thought, because I didn't see anything. Yeah.
He had 3 tackles, which is not bad for a tall forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my impression was that he was working fairly hard. You don't want to spend too much energy in a preseason game like that, chasing fruitlessly out of defence. Keep a little bit in the tank, but he certainly wasn't dropping his head. It wasn't a Fev-esque sort of thing where he sat there and said, "I'm not going to try." He did give it a whirl. My only query over him was that I felt he dropped a couple of marks he should have taken.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is I've seen him drop a couple of sitters, and then his head drops a bit, and he'll drop even more and. But it takes him a little while to get back into it.
He dropped one he should have taken, and he dove in and negated the contest straight after.
That's all right then. Yeah. That's good. Because I wasn't sure because obviously it looked like he was having a bit of trouble while he was at the Dogs, whether that would be affecting his game. So whether I saw a reflection of that on the field at VFL level, or he actually did have the confidence issues.
Yeah. I think I did remember being pleased, noticing that he was going up for marks with the hands out as well, which was good.
Some of the good players for us, and it's good to see Zach Tui. We seem to be back in some sort of form. He had a pretty ordinary year last year, but he did very, very well. Tommy Bell, probably look, he's like a magnet, like a ball magnet these days, and he just knows where to run. He doesn't have the speed, but he's just charging full on into the ball, taking the ball with him every time. But the problem is he's getting his hands to the ball more than I remember him, but his decision making is still pretty terrible. If he could actually take sum things up and take the right option, that boy would be close to best and fairest for us. He'd be in our side every week, but it's just his decision making and occasional skill lapses that let him down.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Ed Curnow started the year quite well again. Gut running and just the effort. I liked a few touches from Patrick Cripps, and Chris Yaron was the class out there.
Yeah, he looked a level above everyone else, to be honest.
Yeah, he did. Some were a bit slow to get off the mark. Cade Simpson had a bit of an off game, in my opinion. Sam Doherty had a bit of an off game.
Yeah.
Not really much else to write home about, was there?
Kaz was pretty strong in contest, took a couple of decent marks as well, as did Wood, actually.
Yeah, a quiet game by Rowie back there, but he was playing on Kennedy, wasn't he? Most of it, half of it.
Yeah, and he was Kennedy was really the only forward in the whole match who was any good, got some decent delivery, took marks and kicked his goals, so good for him, I suppose.
Now it wasn't a day for tall forwards, as we know. Kennedy's the only one that shone, but Matthew Watson was the player subbed out for Skittles to come in, and he had fair to say he had a dirty day.
Yeah,
so on the back of that. At Intra Club, it just shows, you're only a week away from sort of, the doubts returning sort of thing. So he's still got a bit of work to do, but on decent fields, when you don't have the Fremantle doctor knocking you over,
we'll see him bounce back this week, I reckon.
All right, I think we'll have a look at the pre-game pep talk.
Pre-game pep talk.
On Sunday, Carlton ventured down to the Queen Elizabeth Oval at Bendigo, I'm led to believe, to take on Collingwood. I don't remember taking on Collingwood in a pre-season game very often. It's usually we usually play them early in the year, so we seem to want to keep hold a little bit back to build the excitement for that. But that's quite interesting. Carlton have brought in a few of their guns. Bryce Gibbs is back, Michael Jamison, Lockie Henderson, Andrew Carazzo, and Johnny. But Mark Murphy is still out with a strained calf, so we probably won't see him until round one. Still missing, obviously, Cruiser, Walker, and somebody else. Players like Boquist, Smith, Matthew Dick, Christian Yaksh, and Jason Tutt keep their place in the side. So I'm not sure if that's a squad and there's some to be cut, but at least we should have a little bit of structure, a little bit of leadership back, and should give a reasonable account of ourselves and fine-tune our game for the season proper.
And yeah, we'll get to see the dynamic duo down back, Jamison and Rowie.
Yes.
Set to dominate. Yeah. Rowie.
Yeah. Any expectations out of this game?
We're playing Collingwood, so I want to win, even if it is a pre-season game. Just on we don't play Collingwood much in the pre-season. Wasn't the first year or so where they brought in the 3-round robin at the start of the NAB Cup? Didn't we play Richmond and Collingwood straight up? I think that's the last time we played them in the pre-season. So that was a few years ago.
I can't remember.
Yeah, 'cause I remember watching that one on TV. But I hope we win, just because it's Collingwood, but it's pre-season, so results really don't matter. I just want to see the team start to really work together and, blow some cobwebs off, really. Good to see Henderson back out there.
Yeah, look, I agree. I actually think I'm not so worried about the result on Sunday either. I just want us to get a few more games under the young kids' belts. It'll be good to see, Jarden Henderson and Jamo and Gibbsy and the other guys that have come in. So I know Collingwood have got a few of their decent players back as well. So results this time of year mean nothing. I mean, Hawthorn are 0-2. They're clearly not too worried. So as long as we can, get fine-tune mix game plan and get ready from round one for Richmond, that's really all I'm looking at.
Results mean a little bit to Eddie McChins, don't they?
Apparently.
Yeah, saying that Collingwood, they seem to be going a little bit on a go slow with their membership. It's just starting to pick back up again, and the perfect tonic for that would be for Collingwood to go out and belt Carlton on Sunday, which is a bit strange for a pre-season game to get a little bit carried away like that, but it's all about his ego, I guess.
Yeah. The thing for me is I think it's going to be good to watch the two midfields go against each other, because Collingwood's got a lot of their decent players in there. Swan and Pendles are named in the squad and everything. So it'd be good to see how our guys, especially Cripps, go with some sort of maybe bigger and well-experienced bodies in there. So it'd be really interesting. Just hoping no injuries, of course. That's about it, really.
Oh, yeah, please. All right. There's no sense in any predictions. We predict just finding a little bit of form, and who cares what happens after that.
I can't win.
What, 10 goals?
Yeah, 10 goals. There you go. I was trying to remember if it was 10 or 11, but yeah, 10 goals. Can't win by 10 goals. Done.
All right. Let's go around the grounds. Around the grounds. This is HBF's baby. As I told you last time, he insisted on this. If it falls flat, you can blame him. Just inbox him on Big Footy. Tell him what a pathetic idea it was. But what's happening around the grounds, HBF? Anything you want to talk about?
Look, I talked about Essendon last week, so I think I might.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Look, it is, but I think I might. I think I might give them a miss this week. I'd actually. How about we have a chat about one of our past players, Jared Wade, and his performance that he put in against Hawthorn last weekend. Look, I must admit I didn't see the game, but apparently he kicked a few goals and did some nice things. Got himself reported, but the charge was thrown out the next day or something. So I'm not sure if you guys actually saw the game or what happened there. Just maybe some thoughts on his form in March, maybe.
Jared Wade. Who's Jared Wade again? Good day to me, Jared. You're dead.
I think his form in March is hopefully that little taste that he's going to give them that he always gave us every single year.
Jeez.
Yeah, just to let them down a little. Don't wish him, any ill, but I just don't wish him any luck.
Well said.
Yeah, about sums it up. I didn't watch the game either. He only kicked. Did he kick three? I'm not sure. And some people thought he was lucky to get off that charge. Others thought it was,
Oh,
in an accident. So
yeah, it looked like a genuine accident.
okay.
He shouldn't have done it, but you know,
you put a Carlton jumper on it.
Oh yeah,
on it,
he would have got weeks big time. Yeah, Here we got
With
weeks to be played.
Community service as well.
Yeah.
But North Melbourne, they need all the help they can get.
I do actually think it was deliberate because I think Jared Waite's that kind of player who is very good at throwing an arm here, throwing an elbow there.
I thought it looked like he was going to go for the ball when he realised he couldn't. He got frustrated because he was getting beaten.
Yeah, and you know how I know he does that? It's because I reckon I used to do stuff like that as well. Yeah. So I know how his brain works.
Yeah, the contact was barely there, but you know the thought was process was in behind it, and that's about all.
I did see a couple of the quarters, I think, from that match, and he did look okay. If he does fight for them, it is going to be a good pickup. I do think North is actually going to do quite well this season. A lot of people have poo-pooed that idea, as we've heard before. But if he stays on the park, and we used to say that all the time as well, if he stays on the park for them, then they're going to do pretty well.
Well, if North Melbourne have a good week, all their players can go out and celebrate together at the over 28s.
That's right.
That's around the grounds. It was a little bit lackluster, HBF. What do you think?
I'm going to jump in here and defend HBF and say it will be at this time of year. Not much is happening.
I've got to get my kicks in while I can.
I'm going to enjoy talking about it, especially like I've got Collingwood to finish bottom 6. So I'm going to enjoy talking about that every week.
It's Collingwood watch.
Yeah,
happy
I'll be on Collingwood and Essendon watch, and you'll hear me sink the boots in every week.
That's what we should do next week. Our big predictions for the year.
Ooh,
we'll think about those during the week. Okay, nobody's got anything else to add. I think we'll leave it there. Thanks for joining me again, Shandog.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Happy Dude.
You're welcome.
And thank you, HBF.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Oh, look, and it was nice night, succinct, serious football conversation. Just with the boys. Just with the boys. No, we miss you girls.
The boys night in.
Just jokes, girls. Good night, everybody.